Here I am. I am live for another Cosplay 600 build, and I appreciate the guys that have been waiting in the chat for me. Thanks for hanging out. I know I'm starting just a couple minutes late, but I had to get myself a beverage so that I could keep talking for about 2 hours. So, if you are new to the channel or if you're new to one of my live streams, I appreciate you joining me. I typically do the live streams either one where I just want to interact with the community and talk about what I'm working on, or if I've got a lot to do and I don't necessarily know if it'll make the best edited, produced video, so I will just get together and knock some things out on a live stream like this. It's been a while since I've done a live stream. Um, Hopefully, oh, can't hear me. Oh no. All right. I just got a can't hear me. Let's find out what's going on. Can you hear me now? Let's see what's going on here. Apparently I had my mic turned down too far. Can you hear me now? Let's find out and then I'll start over. I am showing that you can hear me. Anybody else in the chat can verify before I keep going. I know I'm on about a 10-second delay or so. Let me know if I turned it up too much. I'm starting to peak just a little bit, so if I'm too loud at this point, let me know. All right, good. Thanks, guys. Like I said, I think I'm on about a 10 to 12 second delay due to the encoding and streaming process. So if you guys tell me something, it'll take a little bit of time before I can react to it. So starting over a little bit. And so what I was saying, thank you for joining me. This is Crazy Fabrications. If you're new to my live stream, I appreciate you stopping by. Please say hi in the chat. Let everybody know you're here. I do like an interactive chat as much as possible because it makes it more fun for me and you guys who are watching, rather than me just sitting here working in silence or me rambling on about something. So if you're new to my channel, I appreciate it. It's been a while since I've done a live stream, mainly just because I've been trying to crank out the weekly videos, and these take a bit of time, and I've been trying to sort of plan out my schedule. I like working on the Cosplay 600 on live streams because I don't necessarily know how it's going to turn out, and I think the engineering portion of it's fun. For this live stream, I've actually piled up a lot of mods that I want to do. Some of them probably more exciting than others, so those are the ones I'll try to do on camera. So if you have any questions while we're going along, I guess let me say hi to everyone. Pygar, who has been here, and Robert, who have both been here for, I know Pygar's been here, I think, for every live stream. Robert, I think, has been here for most of them. JMTAX, thanks for commenting in the chat. I don't have a count of how many. Let's see. Let me pop up my chat in another window. There we go. Make sure that I'm seeing what's going on. And so since the last time I streamed, I have hit 1,000 subscribers. So I thank you all for subscribing to my channel. And that was a big deal to me because it at least in some way validated that I should keep making these videos and that people are actually watching them. According to the last community poll I did, there's been a lot of people are still interested in the Ender 5 and what all you can mod about it and what you can change on it. So I'm going to keep going with the Ender 5 mods. The one I was planning on getting out this week were the linear rail mod, which turned out to be more work than I expected. So once I actually got into the design and got into the kinematics of it, there were some things that were unexpected. I had to design a couple of custom parts beyond the ones that I thought I was going to have to design. So that's taking a little bit longer, but I think I have it. And I have in some idlers that I needed to be able to straighten out the belts on that printer. So I think I should finish that up the first of this week and have that out by next week. I'm debating whether that should become a process video or whether it should be shortened as much as possible into a how-to. That was one of the few mods that I kind of did. Tried to record as I was doing it because it's such a big mod. I didn't want to have to do it twice, once pre-camera, one post-camera. Anyway, so if you have any Ender 5 questions, if that's why you're here or if that's why you subscribe to my channel, there are no rules for the chat in terms of the usual, keep it civil rules. But in terms of topic, just let me know what you'd like to talk about. And we'll go from there. So on the Ender 5 this week, so you'll notice I'm going to have to, well, you can see it from that angle, all right? So I have a video that I actually mostly produced, did all the video on, where I was actually trying to get the last drop of performance out of my NEMA 17 motors, particularly on the Y-axis, since you need a considerable amount of torque on the Y. And because of that, well, let me say, what happened was I started working on that video, tried out a handful of different drivers to make sure that the steppers were getting enough current. Found out, well, no matter how much current I gave them, I still couldn't go quite as fast as I was wanting to. I couldn't accelerate as fast as I wanted to. Again, I don't know if I'll actually end up at those acceleration settings because I don't want the ghosting that typically comes with them. But I did that whole video. It turned out to be kind of a null result. Spoilers for that video if I end up releasing it anyway. I still may release it. I think the process was good. I got to evaluate some new steppers that I hadn't used before. I'll be using those today. In fact, I hope I have. I'm going to have to run over to my work bag and actually pull out the data sheet so that I can set that up correctly. But you'll see back here, and I actually may go for a close-up shot here as well. Let's see. Alright, we'll get this right. Let's see. Alright. And then I'll switch camera. Alright, so there you go. You'll see here, this is a new NEMA 23. There it is. Zaltec NEMA 23 stepper motor. This stepper motor has roughly twice the torque as a NEMA 17. This is the 56 millimeter body on this one. That's one mod that I'm working on. The only thing stopping me from plugging this in at this point, you'll see that I've got the NEMA 17 down here still. Let's see. The only thing really stopping me from plugging this up is, well, unfortunately, this one came without a connector on it. So that is less than ideal, and I haven't had a chance to hook one up. And of course, then there's the challenge of actually getting the steppering order on these wires correct, because they aren't even your typical colors, at least not ones that I'm used to. So I don't know if we will actually get to doing a print today. Probably would guess not, because I've got too many modifications to make, but I can show you what I'm working on, and then for those who missed this live stream, maybe I can edit this down later. So again, here's the NEMA 17, here's the NEMA 23. What else do I have going? Let's go and switch back to the other shot. Don't really need that one anymore. So the other big changes is a lot of people commented on, and I completely agreed with, the fact that these rails as they sit now, while linear rails are extremely tough and they don't flex much, when you get them going long enough, they actually do have a bit of flex in them. And since I actually have nothing holding on the end caps here, except just pressure fitting, I noticed that I would get some squeaking out of this. So this mount I don't think is going to work. So what I did is I got this new mount that I designed. This is, I believe it is a 20 by 60. Yep, 20 by 60 rail. And what's really nice about this is it has two rails I can go ahead and use to mount these in. So they'll slot straight into here. This will provide a really nice rigid mount that I can guarantee is straight for this. And then of course I had to design new brackets for the sides. Basically the same tensioning method that I had on the other one. Although the belt this time is going to be in a different spot. Instead of being behind the whole assembly, I'm actually going to be running the belt in front of it. I don't know if that's going to work. I think it will. In my Fusion 360 drawings, all of it looks like it'll work. So I think that will be good. So that's kind of what I'm working on today. Oh, and I guess I can switch back over to the close-up shot one time. Let's go back over to that one. All right, so with this change comes another great suggestion from a viewer. I'm sorry I didn't jot down all the viewers' names who gave these great suggestions. But that was, well, now that I'm trying to show it to you, it's not going to hold together because I don't have this screwed together yet. It's not permanent. So with the new one is a Bondtech. So as someone pointed out, with all of this, the linear rails and everything, that I can probably hold a Bondtech extruder, do a direct drive for this printer, particularly given how long of a Bowden tube that I have on this. I decided that Bondtech was probably the way to go. So I designed a mount that has a Bondtech. This is going to be the fan on this side. This isn't the final design of this, and I say that mainly because I'm a dual fan kind of guy in terms of believing that you really need to cool from both sides, otherwise you're going to get uneven print quality. So I will come up with a way to add a second fan onto this one. Here's where the BL Touch goes, just like the other one. So this is the other project that I'm working on. So I think that about does. Oh, last one. And of course, I'm not getting to all of these today. This is just telling you what's coming. So the last one I'm doing, before I try to go with a duet, again, if you have any questions, please let me know. So the last one, before I go with a duet, I have this beautiful new Big Tree Tech SKR V1.3. This is a 32-bit mainboard for 3D printers. If you notice, I've got the 5 stepper drivers here. It's got built-in fusing. For this printer, I don't think I'll end up using these fuses very much because I actually connect to external MOSFETs for mine. But it's a nice compact board. This is smaller than the MKS V1.4 that I'm already using. And I have some TMC 2208s to go with that. And for the Y-axis, I actually have one of the new TMC, what are they, 5160s, I think, coming, because I'm going to need 2.5 amps on this motor. And you're not getting that out of a 2208. So there'll be a 51, I think, like I said, I think it's a 5160 that will go there. And that is a mighty chip. I think that's the same one that the duets run. So again, if you are in the chat, say hi so I know you're here. Hey Jake, good to see you. Thanks for chatting. I will be trying to do this mainly verbally instead of chatting in the chat. Again, since I'm at 1,000 subscribers, Super Chat is available. That's not, okay, it's a plug, but it doesn't require you to do anything. So I think that is about all we need to do for now. Let's go ahead and, again, to keep the stream more interesting, what I want to do is actually stick with as much of the build type stuff that I can do for this stream. And, you know, wiring, soldering, that kind of stuff, I'm going to try to not have to do today. So I guess what that means is let's get to building. We got to take apart the whole x-gantry here. The whole x-gantry has to come off so that I can get the linear rails and attach it to the new one. The game plan here is to go till 5. If you've been part of one of these streams before, you know that it will probably go just a few minutes long, but I try to stick to schedule overall. Let's see. Hey, if you haven't done it yet, guys, if you will, please like this video. Someone came along even before I started the live stream and gave me a unlike or a dislike. So if you could like this stream, and if you don't mind sharing it on your social media, I appreciate it. Let's get busy on this, though, and I will stop trying to talk quite so much. I wish I had some sort of, let me see, I wish I had some sort of audio notification letting me know that, you know, chats were coming in, but I really don't think I have anything that actually does that. So I'm going to probably work for a few minutes, check the chat. If someone chats me and I'm missing it, I will get to it in just a minute. So I have to switch around here. Let me make it where I can see what's going on. Gotta be able to see the chat while I'm working. All right, so obviously, first thing I've got to do is get these caps off. My cell phone might be the best way to keep up with chat while I'm around front here. Let me make sure. Give me a minute, guys. I am trying to make sure I've got access to everything. All right. So, hey, while I'm thinking about it, any of you that actually work on your own printers, if you have a good recommendation for a screwdriver set, you know, one of these multi-tool sets, let me know, because I have been through a couple. I'm still using my Home Depot set here, and although the rubber has torn off of it, which makes it kind of unsightly, it's still one of the best sets I have. It's super durable and it's got a lot of grip on it. But if you've got your favorite Amazon link that you could recommend, and you're like, yeah, that's the best one I've used and I've been using it for a while and it's held up, let me know, because I've got a set that I recently purchased on Amazon and it looked good and the reviews were all right, but there's no torque in it. It's got this little add-on that you use to torque it, and it's just not the best solution. Been a while since I've taken this one apart there. I almost forgot how to do it. One of those things that once you get it together, you're hoping, hey, I'm done with that one. I don't have to take it apart again. I can't tell you how many videos and how many streams I drop screws in. I guess it's part of the, there we go. Let me get a good shot of my back while I try to get these out. Someone's trying to call. I'm going to have to decline that for now. I have to leave a message if it's important. One of the other problems with this Home Depot set is it has a little bit of magnetism, but not a lot, which makes removing screws from holes very difficult. Maybe I can, there we go. I'm going to mix and match these sets so that it works better. Put the little magnetic tip that it has on it, and then I can have the best of both worlds. And the way I designed these, you have to remove these screws here first on both of them. And then once you loosen them up, they come out. There we go. This whole piece comes out if you're unfamiliar with this piece. There's grooves, there's channels on both sides. It takes 8, and then these two actually have to be put in afterwards. Do the same on the other side. I'm going to try to keep from giving you my back. I may be doing another live stream next weekend because I have a package that just came in from a sponsor, and I might be doing a live unboxing of a new printer. Oh, that one's going to be fun to get out. It's in there really good. There's also lithium grease on everything now because I was printing with it actively. This one actually, I'm going to have to pull out an entire rod and probably get a paper towel or a screwdriver or something to actually, let's just say my print tolerances are really good because there is no extra wobble on there, but that does come out if I pull hard enough. That's good. Don't want that out yet. Okay, next up I need to get the how do I want to do this? I guess I need to get this carriage off here. Loosen this up so my belt's not tight. Oh, that's actually a Phillips. So, let me get Phillips head. Apparently that is easier said than done. I'll grab it out of this other set. That should be coming out. Oh, I see what it's doing. Alright. That's not going to want to come out. I'm going to have to do it hard. I know what to do. Right, let's loosen that up. I will get back to the chat in a minute. I had to leave that on the other side. I'll try to leave all my screws over here so I don't lose anything. Alright. That piece. Now the belt will come out. Let's see. What do we got here? Hi from Norway. Thank you very much, Roger. I appreciate the watching. Let's see. I'm noticing, and I was mentioning this to my wife the other day, I have a lot of international viewers. I would say that probably only a third of my audience is actually from the United States, according to YouTube analytics. And the rest is from elsewhere in the world. And it is literally spread out everywhere. So I can easily say that the YouTube 3D printing community is very diverse from all over the world. And I think that's wonderful. It's nice to have a big audience, and it's good to see that this technology is making its way everywhere. Let me see the easiest way to do this. I don't know how much of this I want to completely disassemble, but I know some of it I'm going to have to replace anyway, so I don't think it's going to matter. So let me go and remove some of these ties, excuse me, off of hot in there. Now some of this can start being pulled apart. I don't have any filament in here, so that should just pull out. And one of the problems I know I'm already going to have, I've done a nice job of finishing up this cabling here and sleeving it all, and now I want to do a direct drive on the extruder, which means now I have a whole new set of wires that I didn't have before, that I have to drive the motor, the stepper motor on the extruder. And I wanted to show you guys this. I don't know if you've seen these. These are these 0.8 degree, I think 0.8 degree steppers. Oh, excuse me, 0.9 degrees. That's right here. 0.9 degree slim steppers that you can get off of printed solid from LDO motors. These are really nice. These have good torque and should work really well for a direct drive, like the Bondtech, because it has the gearing built in. I'm sure I'll find out what that is in a minute. Oh, I know what it is. It's just one of the Bondtech screws. Not a big deal. I'll find it. And let's go ahead and unscrew. See, this is going to actually be a lot of work to get off, because that custom mount actually has a fair amount of screws in it. But I'm not too worried about it. Most of this is going to have to come off for this mod anyway. Again, I will get back to chat in a minute. I'm trying to make sure that your time is well spent and you actually get to see some work done on this printer. Maybe that's what we need, just a hangout where I'm not working on something. I don't know if anyone would just be interested in a 3D printing hangout. Not exactly a 3D printing celebrity, so not sure what value people would see in that. I guess we'd have to find out. Need to switch to my other screwdriver if I'm going to get in there. Tell you what, if you ever consider building your own 3D printer, you will most likely need more tools than you expect. When I say build your own, I don't mean like necessarily take someone else's design and build your own, but actually try to design your own. Because I've gone through a lot of iterations of this, and hopefully you can see what I'm doing well enough. I know I wish I could zoom in a bit more. Need a camera operator in order to do that. Let's go ahead and do that real quick. Just because I'm working on this area here, I can zoom in a bit. Maybe, maybe not. I have to be able to center on it. But a one-man show. There, that'll be a bit better view, at least temporarily while I'm working on this. There we go. And this has the BL Touch and everything on it. I can actually unplug the BL Touch pretty safely because it is color coded. I'm not worried too much about not knowing where this stuff goes. most of these wiring, this wiring is going to be changed, so I might as well undo it anyway. All right. So if you'll notice, I think I can get this really good on here. I went ahead and I knew I would be doing some of this, so I went and added custom wiring on here so that I could actually pop these out. This one is for the hot end. This one is for the thermistor. And these are custom, and I made sure, particularly on the hot end, that this connector was rated at the voltage, or excuse me, the current that's going to be put through it. So that's really nice. That comes straight off. That'll go into that new Bondtech directly. And then, of course, my wiring harness is really nice. Since it's all in one piece, I can actually just pull it aside with the Bowden tube. And now this will come off pretty easily. One thing I don't like is, of course, I'm touching my glass bed, which means I'm going to end up having to clean this bed again before I can print on it, without worrying about losing all of the adhesion. Once I get these screws out, I will take a chat break and come see what you guys are doing. I'm just letting these fall. It's just going onto the glass bed anyway. It doesn't matter. Pick them up in a minute. This mount is going away temporarily anyway because I have a new one. There we go. That's all the hardware out of it, except for that one. There we go. That is all the hardware. And there's that mount. I have all new parts. So I'll salvage what I can off of that. Actually, I'll probably hang on to it for a little while, just in case something changes and I go back to a different method. Here are these. These things are finally moving really well in here. These are actually relatively inexpensive rails. This is a 16mm rail. So I'm going to take a quick sit-down break and chat for a second if anyone has said anything. Oh, that's not going to work. Changed everything, of course. I think I'm done with the up close shot anyway. So yeah, sorry about the live adjustment here. Hopefully I can get it where it's straight. I'm going to go off that top rail there. Alright. Next investment in the channel should be a remote control camera, right? So let's see. Need a couple of 17.5 parts cut from 6mm acrylic. Cutting acrylic, you need your own laser cutter. That's what I hear. Or water jet, but I think laser is probably more more doable. Hey, Belgium, Agron. If you want me to pronounce your name differently than I say it on the stream, please let me know. So Agron from Belgium, thank you. Newcastle, Liverpool 1-2 on TV. Oh man, I don't think I can compete with that. So I'm in good company. Thanks for watching. Tool number 1, a magnetic pickup stick. Yeah. I have a box of magnets. I could just go get one of them. But I have found that these really small washers half the time aren't magnetic anyway. So Let me see. Asger. Man, I am not going to try to pronounce. Let's see. Besbjerg. Let me know if I even got close. Besbjerg. I do my best with foreign languages, but I don't live in Europe, so I don't have as many options or many chances. So, what now? All right, so I've got all of that done. I've got the caps off of this. Thank you, Vesbjerg. Sometimes it's just hard to try to pronounce. It's fun to try to pronounce. I guess Scandinavian names. So let's get this off. I'm gonna have to get this out of the way. Everything should be clear now. And kind of a long haul way of doing this, right? I guess technically, if I wanted to, I could loosen the nuts holding this on. That may be the best way to do it. At least the quickest way for a live stream. I don't know what I'd do if I wasn't on live stream. I may take the time to actually just screw these up manually, but I should be able to loosen these connectors down here, these couplers. And now I'm back to the problem that I was telling you. So this is the little screwdriver I was telling you about. I am not a big fan. It is very nice. It looks nice. It does not perform very well because you can get no torque on it without adding this little stick to the center to torque it. So I need a better screwdriver set. Like I said, this Home Depot set that's kind of a piece of junk still has better torque. And particularly I've learned when putting on these couplers, you need the torque, because otherwise they will slip on you and you will think you have a problem that you don't. So all right, so those should be loose enough for me to get off now. Let's find out. So let me know what you think about this time slot also. I thought mid-afternoon actually would be a really nice time slot because of all of the European viewers that I seem to have according to YouTube. And I wanted to make sure it was convenient to the worldwide audience, not just to the American audience. So I wanted to get something that wasn't too early or too late. All right. Let's pull these out first. Carefully set those down. Pull out the other one. Carefully set that down. Don't want to bend those rails. And this should lift off. It's going to keep falling back and reseating itself though. There we go. All right. The stepper is still attached on the left over here, so that will be next up is getting that small hex nut again. Let's see how we're doing. 14 watching now. That's what I'm seeing. 14. That doesn't look any smaller. There we go. That's the one I'm looking for. Thanks. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the linear rails on this one too. I have to say that last video I published about this printer, which was about the replacing the belts with a ball screw, that kind of exploded. At least my level of YouTube exploded. And I ended up with an extra, I mean, that one, tons of comments. Probably gained about 400 subscribers or so, which, like I said, for a channel my size is pretty big. So people found it interesting. As I expected, not everyone agreed with my design choices, but that's fine. We're all learning here. I particularly enjoy the engineering part of this, even if I'm not always right or if not everyone agrees with me. I'm going to see this one through to the end, and I will have a printer that works. So for speaking of building printers, let me go ahead and bring this up. So I have started a Patreon for this channel. And I want that to be as beneficial to my audience as it is to me. At this point, this channel is a hobby. It is not anywhere near producing any income that I could use for a full-time gig or anything. So for it to benefit both of us, what I would love to see is viewer contributions that end up in projects that you guys can actually produce yourselves. So I've made a stretch goal over on Patreon. You should be able to find this easy, by the way, patreon.com/KurzyFabrications. And I think it's Kurzy Fabrications. It may be Kurzy Fabs if I'm wrong. But I'm going to work on, if I get enough Patreon backers there, what I wanted to do was actually work on a giant size Ender 5, basically. The Ender 5 has been such a good printer to me, and it has been such a big hit for my channel. I would love to do a custom design, custom part Ender 5 after I'm done with the Cosplay 600. And I'm thinking, somewhere in the 500 by 500 by 500 range, or possibly bigger if you've got the parts for it. And it would just be designed to be basically similar in terms of design and kinematics, in terms of the movement of the printer, but it would just be easy to print, easy to build, and obviously beefy enough to handle the scale. So back to the Patreon part of that. If you're interested in me working on something like that and sharing the plans and releasing the plans to everybody, let me go ahead and get a paper towel. I'm going to need that because everything is greased up. But anyway, if you're interested in me working on a project like that, now's a great time to go over to Patreon and join me as I work on this channel. I'm not, there is in no way a requirement for that. That's just for fun to sort of line up the next projects I'm working on. If that doesn't interest you, that's just fine. I still appreciate you joining me, and just watching my videos is all I really care about. But I thought it'd be fun to try something else. Ultimately on my channel I can do what I'd like, or I can do what you guys suggest. We'll just see how it goes. Gotta take off the X end stop. I didn't realize that actually had a nut on it, on one part of it. Okay. So that's all the electronics. Now I actually have to pull this apart. So a couple more parts here. That's the wrong one. All right. Hopefully now I'm watching myself on delay because I'm watching the chat on my phone. Got to get these off. Yeah, Roger, you know what? That's what's in my mug too. I have a good IPA in my mug, and that is what's making sure I can continue to speak. Ta-da. All right. Boom. Chime in if any of you have actually built a printer from scratch and you actually know what I'm going through here. And of course, that doesn't have to be a printer you designed yourself. If you just put together one either from a fairly from scratch kit, or if you have built one, you know, from parts, like a Core XY or something like that. Let me know. Let me know what your experience was. Let me know if you do it again. And of course, let me know which printer it was, because that's super interesting what people have gone with. I mean, I can't tell you the number of people that said, hey Chris, you should have just printed a Core XY and been done with it. But I do like to tell people that I don't like belts that much. So the Core XY did not make me, that's not what I was looking to do. That's why I came up with my own design. Then out of these plastic pieces have nothing on them, they just have the guide in them. I'm going to take the guides out. I have several ways to get these guides out just because I was always worried that they may not want to come. Yeah. A couple of the linear rails do what they're supposed to. There we go. Guides are out. Now, again, I have to say, happy with the tolerances on this. I heard it creaking, but it doesn't move a whole lot. It moves a little. Gotta make sure I don't lose these sleds. And there's that part. That will go in my box of things I might use again if I come back to this design. As you can see, these are in here. I think you can see. Maybe not. Sorry. These things are in here pretty good. There we go. All right. Back to the 60 by 20. And so, a couple of things about the new design choices here. Again, this was multiple reasons to go with the 60-20. First of all, definitely was to make the whole x-gantry more rigid. I wanted to make sure that that they stayed exactly where they were supposed to. So that's why it's one piece of metal instead of like doing 2 bars. Let me see what size these are going to be. I think these are M4s. I'm just hoping I have enough nuts and everything to do, and enough screws to do all these M4s. Because I did plan for this. So, M4s. I will be a little put off if I didn't plan well. Nope, they're not M4s, they're M3s. Alright, we'll figure out what to do here. I'm not going to let that stop me not having the right screws. Are you kidding? Yeah, I'll get back to the these M3s? I did not expect M3s. The 12 millimeters are M3s. These M4s? Wow, these are M3s too. Huh. Tell you that I didn't actually ever mount these the first time. What of course that means is that I'm going to have to, I just used all of, well, let me get in frame here so I can talk for a minute. So I just used all of my M3 screws and my M3 nuts on the Ender 5. So I have far less of those than I need to do this. That was unexpected. Let me see who's on. Let's do a little bit of chatting. Yep. So, Roger, how do you like the Ender 5 compared to the Ender 3 Pro? I know I just saw Chuck Hellbach. He was just doing an Ender 5 review. He doesn't seem to have any problems with the Ender 5, but he doesn't seem impressed with it. So let me know what you think about the two comparing one to another. Fidin? Jimmy? I guess I'll call you Jimmy. Jimmy, the bed is on standoffs. It's rigid from the floor to from the table to the bed, meaning it's a metal frame with the metal linear rails, not linear rails, linear guides, whatever you want to call them, the round ones. And then that goes directly to an aluminum plate that I had custom milled. And then there are standoffs that go to the heated beds, and there are 4 independent heated beds on here. So those are standoffs. Hypercube finally got up and running just a week ago. It was a pain because of the instructions. So how are your prints turning out on that Hypercube? Do they look good? Are you happy with the quality that you're getting on that? No, the rails aren't too soft. No, it's purely just because they're so long. If the rails were a lot shorter, I don't think I'd have to mount them directly to it. I'm still not 100% sure that I'd have to, but I like this new design. One of the other nice things is by mounting them like this, I should get a little bit more length out of my x-axis, because now part of the rails are not being taken up by what's being embedded in the plastic on the ends. Let's see. No, they're not. They're definitely not too soft though. Let's see. All right. Any projects to show or brag about? I think you guys know about most of the projects I'm working on. The Ender 5 on rails is super cool. I'm really liking that one. I think that's going to be a really neat mod, and it's going to look different than I thought it would. Like I said, that's coming out this week. I want to finish this printer one day because I want to use it, not just work on it. And I have some large cosplay stuff I want to print on it, and some props that I want to print on it. We've got all sorts of stuff. Let's see. They don't fit in the V slot. They just use the V slot on the 2060, meaning that I can use, the T-nuts on those to space them across the entire 2060. Oh, prints. Does it look like I have time to print anything? No. Any cool prints? I'm printing a lot of test prints right now because of the Ender 5 mod. I will have cool prints after this set of mods that I showed you at the beginning of the video. I don't know. The electronics I don't have to do. I will do. But once I get the NEMA 23 installed, once I get this new rail system installed, then I will start producing some cool prints. I think most everybody, if you've kept up with the channel, you've seen my Mark III Iron Man helmet, and that one is that one's still in progress. I'm actually debating whether to actually switch to PETG for that cosplay, because I'm getting a little worried about heat resistance. Leaving them in a car, for example. I definitely don't want a problem where I go to leave them in a car and it just melts on me. after I've made it. Let's see, what do I have? I'm going to get a couple of standoffs. The reason I'm off frame right now, the reason I'm actually going to get a couple of these T-nuts that I need off of my Ender 5 build just for a minute so that I can actually continue working on this build, and then Amazon's going to get another purchase. Speaking of Amazon, that has been, for you guys that don't realize it or that don't know, that's been actually the best way for me to make just enough money off of the channel to kind of make it, I mean, from a financial standpoint, worthwhile. I enjoy it either way. But the Amazon affiliate links have been helping out a ton. So if you already use those affiliate links, thank you very much. Those have been a huge help. I've even sold a couple of Ender 5s off of Amazon, not directly, like I said, just through affiliate links. And that helps the channel a ton, because that's nothing off of anybody's back. No one's paying for that. No one's actually having to give me money directly, which is nice. And you still help out. So, like I said, I'm off frame taking off a one of these nuts that I need. And once I get this off, I will continue this build, because to be honest, to just get through this part and make sure everything fits together, I don't actually have to have all of them. So. Alright, that's 1, 2... We'll just need 4 to keep going. Yeah, looks like I've got everything I need. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, I really thought that these were going to be M4 screws, because they are M3s on the 12s. Let's go ahead and get this in here. Having to work on camera, or choosing to work on camera, let me be clear, is not the easiest way to do this. Then again, I'm running out of surfaces in my home anyway, so don't know if it matters. I don't know if there is an easy way. If you're like me, surfaces are hard to come by. Not the only one in my household. I've got kids. They need surfaces. We're using every surface. This is my dining room. There we go. Couple in the ends of these. Obviously, I will come back in 2 days, probably, about how long it'll take Amazon to deliver some new T-nuts. That will straighten up these rails enough. Actually, you know, one thing I'm noticing, mounting this, I am noticing a little flex on that rail. Could just be from, you know, hanging in midair like that. These are meant to be, these are meant to actually be mounted to metal. That's why they have all these screw holes. They're not meant to support themselves. So I definitely think this is a better decision, particularly long term for the life of the printer, to actually have them mounted. One video I've meant to do also has been these screw boxes I designed. I've never actually released the model or done a video on them, but I absolutely love them. I couldn't find a set of screw boxes that I liked, so I designed my own. Not only did I design the boxes themselves, which are hinged, and have, you can see, semi-transparent lids. But they also have these awesome stackable boxes that you can put them in. And I built 2 of those now for my own personal use. At this point, I'm just lining these up by sight in terms of the ends of them. Again, I'm not looking at the chat at the moment since I'm trying to get this done. I will be back to the chat in a minute when I need a sip of my drink. So that'll work for now. Not ideal. Let me go in carefully. One of the problems with these you know what? Okay, all right. So this tells you how much I get ahead of myself and how many projects I'm doing at once. See these? It's a whole bag of T-nuts. And in fact, what made me just realize that I had a whole bag of T-nuts was that I sometimes don't like these twisty T-nuts because they don't always twist in place. And I was concerned on this particular build because there were so many screw holes in these rails. I was concerned that they would not all twist. Because look how many I have to verify that they twist, and there's no way to verify visually that they've done that. So I went, and if you're not familiar with doing linear rail work, or excuse me, aluminum extrusions, I should say, not linear rails necessarily. But there are 2 types of these T-nuts that you can get. And I did apparently know there are 3s. All right. Am I getting old, or am I doing too many projects at once? I'm not sure. So there are 2 types of T-nuts you can get. There are these. These are the twist-on ones. People like them because you can basically go anywhere in the extrusion, pop one of these in, twist it, and it locks in place. Then you have these are the slide-in kind. These you have to put in first on the extrusion before you put an end cap or anything like that on. But you don't have to worry about them twisting in place. So, what does that mean for me? It means that I need to go and add these all the way down the line. But I probably don't have enough screws to do it. Again, thanks to the Ender 5 project, I'm going through screws faster than I thought I would. I might have enough screws if the M12s work, or excuse me, if the 12mm ones work. So why don't I test that real quick? I'm going to slide one of these into here. I'm going to have to remove this end cap off of here, ultimately. So if you want to see how I have, let's pull this out for now. If you want to see how I have designed these, notice, there we go. Notice that basically each one is being held on by 3 screws that tighten into those rails, which I really like. It really tightens up that whole area. Let's pull both of these off to the side. All right. Let's see. What size? I will be back at the chat in 1 second. Because I know you guys are probably saying stuff about me. I don't blame you. Let's loosen these up here and here so they work. And they just pop off. Turn it back over. Again, what I want to check, since I have way more 12mm screws, are the 12mm ones too long? put these out of frame because there's too much clutter here now. 12 millimeter, take a nut, slide it in. What I want to see is when I tighten this down, does it hit the bottom of the rail? Does it actually tighten? That feels like it hits the bottom of the rail. Yep. Have to use 8s. Okay, so M3x8s are required. M3x12s are not going to work. How many M3x8s do I have? It is a completely different topic. Let's see what's going on in the chat. Yes, I do. I'm sorry, I better talk about which one I'm reading. So next question, do I have a BL on the big printer? Yes, I have a BL Touch on this one, and it works beautifully. I have printed, just running test prints, I've printed edge to edge on this printer using the ABL profile, and it's been great. Has anyone... Oh, direct Patreon link. I'll be happy to. That seems like a good request. So as of right now, I have a grand total of 0 Patreons and proud of it. Well, I wouldn't call it proud, but let's see. Here is the direct Patreon link. Thanks for asking for it. JDC, if no one's answered you already, this is 600 by 400. JDC AMC, thanks for joining us. Yeah, this is 600 by 400 bed. It is 4 independent heating zones. Anyone getting streaming problems, please let me know. This is my first time on my gigabit connection, and I'm streaming higher bit rate than I normally would because I'm also hardwired for this stream. If you saw my Twitter or Facebook post, I posted pictures of me getting the hardwire set up this morning. What do I use to lube the rails? I will show you. I've got it right behind me, I believe. This comes in different forms, but this is what I have. It is white lithium grease with Teflon, made by DuPont. I got this off of Amazon. I'm sure I can give you a good affiliate link to it. And you spray it on. It goes on real thick. And then I usually just take like a cloth and wipe it down. And it works on the screws. It works on the rails. I pretty much use it on anything on the printer. What's nice about it is when it dries, it's not really wet. It leaves a coating. You don't really want to get it on your hands, but it's not wet like oil. It leaves a coating that's like nonstick. Let's see. Printed 10 prints on an Ender 3 Pro. Well, okay. Use T-nuts, not the turning hammer nuts. Yeah, tell me about it. That's what I'm using on this one. The 114 board. I have one. I've got one like right here on this table area. So that's actually going to be after the linear rails. Come the 114 board. Okay. Link to the grease. All right. Again, I don't know whether you're in the US or not. So, but I will give you the link I have. If I can type correctly. All right. This stuff's about, for the 10-ounce spray bottle, it's only about $12. I will share that with you right now. You go follow that link. That is for the. I'm going to go ahead and. I'm going to go ahead and send a. I'm going to put what that was so that people in the chat. Oh, that's a hacksmith video. Didn't mean to bring that up. Where was that chat? Okay. That's what that was. Okay. So. All right. So let's get back into this. I can definitely keep going now, though. Now that I remembered that I have these proper T-nuts that I purchased. And I would actually have enough in 3x8s if it weren't for the fact that I'd already used them this week. So I got plenty of these guys, though. So to put these on, make sure, let's go ahead and again show less of my back and more of what I'm working on. There we go. Okay. So to put these on, you have to put them on ahead of time before you even can attach it to the rail. I have to come in here, and these are great. Again, these are better to use if you don't want to take if you have forethought and can plan on what you're doing ahead of time. These nuts are the better option because they allow you to guarantee that everything is down where it's supposed to be. So that's how those go on. Now I'm just going to do a whole row of those. Let me see how many screws I have. That'll let me know how far I can get on each rail. Maybe I'll do every other one for now and then just come back later and do the other ones after I order some more screws. One thing I have been shocked. So I've only been heavy into the makering for about 2 years. I've always dabbled in electronics. I am a software developer by trade, but I've only been heavy into the makering and 3D printing for, I guess, maybe 2.5 years at this point, maybe going on 3, we'll see. But I am shocked at the number of auxiliary parts that you need. The amount of screws I keep around now, nuts and washers and lock washers and every other type of washer you can think of. I have spent a fair amount of money on just having the components I need to build things when I want to. I don't know if that's a common thing. I don't know how it couldn't be common. But ordering screws in bulk, never thought that that would be something I would need to do. But now I find myself doing it on a regular basis as I run out of screws 100 at a time and need to buy more. Let me go ahead and unplug my phone so I can have it nearby and sort of keep up with the chat a bit more while I'm just screwing in these. It's not going to be as interesting as what I'd hoped. Okay. You know, Jake, that's a good question. I hadn't really thought about that. I don't know. I don't know if you're going to have a problem if something like the Ender 5, maybe the Ender 3, you actually will have more problems on it. But the Ender 5, the thing is, I don't think, maybe the extruder motor, but the motors on the X and Y axis and the Z axis aren't going to need that much current. So I don't know if the life of the 2208s on the 114 are going to end up being a problem on the Ender 5. What you don't have at home, either cut a longer one or buy a big bag of them. Yeah. It's another thing is tools. I never realized that I would be sitting here what I do, when did I publish that review? It wasn't that long ago that I published, not a review, but my video on how to cut aluminum extrusions. Not something I thought I would be doing. But here I find myself working on multiple projects where I need to cut my own extrusions, or rods, or rails, or something aluminum, and having a chop saw with a non-ferrous bit on it. It's just kind of funny in a way, the projects I've gotten myself into. So yes, now I have metalworking tools in my basement. Didn't think that was going to ever be a thing. There we go. I've gotten every other one mounted here because I think that's the screws that I've got. I'm not at all concerned that that's going to be not enough for this printer. If I had a lot of weight on these, I'd worry that I might need them all. But I don't think it's a concern, given that the only thing I'm running on this is a fast-moving, light x-gantry. So let's go ahead, pull these off. And I know I haven't said it in a little bit, but I do appreciate everyone joining me here for the live stream. It's just, a lot of people are intimidated by live streams. I don't worry about it too much because I think if we're all makers here, we've been there, done that in terms of, you know, trying to get something to work and not having the right parts, or it not working the way you thought it would, even though you designed it in CAD and it looked really good in the computer. I think it's also good for if you're new at this, or if I don't know, you just don't have a lot of experience with doing these kind of projects, to actually have a realistic expectation for how yours are going to turn out. I think a lot of time on YouTube, people kind of get the impressions that projects are just, you know, they just work out. I plan something and I make a video on it and it's this perfect project, and but that's not typically the case. I think most people probably have planned these projects out, have probably done multiple revisions of a part, and then put together a video that shows how perfect it all looks when it's ready to go. And I know for me, I've got an entire box down here of parts from this printer that weren't quite right the first time I designed them. Now they aren't typically totally wrong. They typically need a couple of dimensions adjusted, or maybe something didn't line up the first time. They're not usually all wrong, but a part that's dimensionally inaccurate for some reason, sometimes you can drill out another hole or something, but otherwise you have to reprint it. And the amount of plastic I go through reprinting these, you know, happens. Let's see. Nice. I wish I had a CNC that I had access to. Screwdriver from BG. Okay. Yeah. I work with Banggood too. That's true. I like that idea. Thanks, Jake. I did not think of that. You're right. I could use the bigger screws as stop gaps, so I don't have to pull the whole thing apart. It's not a bad idea. Maybe I'll do that. It looks like I am going to have just enough screws to do what I suggested, which is do like every other hole. It's funny, there's not exactly an even number of holes in these, though. There's an odd number of holes. Well, you don't ever really think of that. But they space them to a certain specification. And so you might get an odd number of holes. For example, I think this is I don't remember exactly how long this row was. I'd have to look it up. or measure it. Let's see, this rail is 700. That's a 700 millimeter rail for a 600 millimeter bed. What do you guys think? Should I do what Jake said? Put some temporary ones on here. Probably easier than pulling the whole thing apart. It's either that or I'm just not going to care. But yeah, let's do it that way. I like that. I'm going to put on... Thanks, Jake. I'm going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and do all these every other screws. I'm going to go and use the 12s, I think, is what I have. It does help if I put them on in the right direction. If you put these nuts on upside down, they're not going to work. Yeah, so these are 12s. I want to do what Jake says. I'm going to put the 12s on. I'm going to do them time-wise. I guess I have about 30 more minutes. Made some progress, but not nearly enough. My mom just texted me. What's up with Mom? Let's see. Ah, my mom just sent me a text to wish me a happy anniversary. So today, first of all, I forgot to mention Happy Star Wars Day to everybody. May the 4th be with you. This is a holiday we celebrate at my house. And as I said, it actually happens to be, purely by chance, mine and my wife's anniversary. We got married before Star Wars Day was a thing. And so it was not intentional. Otherwise, we would have had, I'm sure, a Star Wars wedding, which we did not have. To be honest, I don't think 17 years ago we were geeky enough to have a Star Wars wedding. We are now. We'd totally do it now. It would either be that or a Renaissance fair wedding, which would also be a lot of fun. I'm going to get all this mounted up, even if we run a little bit long. If anyone has to drop off, I completely understand. I schedule these for a certain amount of time. Interesting about these live streams is, so this is 4th or 5th for me. I think 5th live stream I've done. And I have over 1,000 subscribers now, going on 1166 according to my monitor on the wall. And same amount of people in this one as I have in the older streams. So I do think a lot of people come back and watch these after the fact. I noticed that they do get a decent amount of likes and a decent amount of watch time on them. So I think people kind of like to watch them, though, on their own time, where they can fast forward when I'm not doing anything important. It's one of the reasons I do try to talk during them, though, because I know if you guys were just sitting there and I wasn't saying anything and you were just watching me put things together, it'd be kind of boring. How's that football game going? You said you had it on the other screen. I think you said it was Manchester. Let me know how they're doing. Almost got them all on here. This taking longer, you guys can thank Jake. He came up with a good idea. But that does mean that it takes longer to put them together. I was actually going to do a lot of pre-work for this stream. And just letting you know what's going on in life. I was going to do a lot of pre-work for this stream and other things to make sure that there was less of this kind of stuff and more actual putting together and testing, because that's way more interesting. But I ended up having a funeral to go to this morning for a spouse of a coworker. So I didn't get the pre-work done that I was hoping to get done. But that was more important. It was very unfortunate. So I'm not seeing any more chat. Oh, never mind. I am seeing more chat. I'm just not reading it correctly. Let's see. Liverpool scored. I don't know what it'd take for me to get that game on here. I don't know if that's on a US station that you're watching or if you're in... Yeah, you said you're in Europe, right? So it might be harder for me to find that game here without special stations. And the last screw. All right. So all done. I'm going to move my box out of the way. And let's see. There's still some stuff in here. You can see that good. Let me get my phone out of the way again. And now these will slide right in. And this is 2 down here and down here. Okay. And 2, I believe, go on top. And you have to kind of feed these on. But when you lock them down, you can be sure that they're actually locked down. If you've got any just chat ideas here, if you've got any ideas for videos that you don't see other channels doing, whether it be custom 3D printer work, large 3D prints that you want to see, or if you have a printer you would like to see reviewed, please let me know. I'm pretty booked up for the short term in terms of what I personally want to make videos on, but I'm always looking for future ideas. I even have a couple of fun videos that I hope to put out when I just need either a distraction or something a little less involved. I got some like one-day build type stuff. I design my cosplay prints. I have designed cosplay prints. There is a cosplayer by the name of Bethy Gould. I can try to give you a link to her later. I know she's on Facebook and Instagram, Bethy Gould. And I designed a Star Wars. She was doing a Star Wars Jedi Princess mashup. She did Belle, and she was just kind of like mashing it up with like an Obi-Wan Clone Wars design. If you don't know what I'm talking about, that's fine. I'm just giving you the details. And I designed her armor for her. And about the only tool I know, at least, you know, in terms of something more than like Tinkercad, which I do know how to use Tinkercad. I use Fusion 360, and so I designed all her cosplay components in Tinkercad, and it actually turned out really well because it was just a lot of curves though. I really can't design things that are more artistic. I think geometrically, and so like this printer, all of these very specialized components I designed myself. All the components you'll see this week on the Ender 5 mod I designed myself. I fancy myself pretty good at mechanical design. I grew up with a lot of mechanical design because my mom taught it, even though I didn't actually do it myself. And so I'm pretty good with that. Okay, I'm tightening down these every other ones just enough to keep them from rattling and keep them from getting in the way. But those are the ones that are actually too long. They're not actually doing any supporting work at this point. So yeah, when it turns to cosplay, I really like working with Nico Industries. And I'll tell you, Nico's models are really, really printer friendly, and he is a great guy personally. I like working with him, and so I try to push stuff his way. A lot of the Iron Man stuff I'm getting is from him. So Nico Industries, give him a plug on this. Check out the Cosplay Armor and Weapons Facebook group as well, because that's where I go for a lot of my my chatting and finding out where to get certain pieces of armor. Let's see, 5 minutes before end. Let's see. What is it? Do you design? Jake, I think it's called multitask. Let's see. Is the lead screw driving your bed? It's a ball screw driving the bed. So not a lead screw, a ball screw, and it is a 16 millimeter ball screw. A lot of people are like, oh my god, I can't believe you're gonna try to drive. It works. It works with the NEMA 17. You just have to be careful with your settings. I can print with it. But I am upgrading that ball screw motor to a NEMA 23 and an appropriate size stepper motor that actually work on these MKS base boards. We'll also work with a Duet, which I'm hoping to get at some point, but a Duet board's quite expensive. Duet board's about half the price of a Creality printer, so I have not spent money on it. It is also Free Comic Book Day, yes, and I haven't made it to my comic book store. I have been running around. Like I said, I had the funeral this morning. I had what else? And then I had stuff with my family. They've got dance going on right now, and so I was doing some running around. And after this live stream is over, I'm going to go to dinner and celebrate the anniversary with my wife and kids. So, don't think I'm going to make it to the comic book store unless they happen to be open late, and I happen to be down that direction. So typically, I don't know. It's been many years since I've missed Free Comic Book Day, but I did check the list, and there was nothing I was like had to have. Okay. So as you can hopefully hear, these are moving really well now. Everything has the grease on them, and let's get you a good view. So that's what these look like now that the rails are mounted to them. Yeah, I thought this was a perfect solution. It is really heavy now, and so I'm a little worried that the Z-axis may not like it. In which case I'm going to have to beef up the motors on the Z, but they're stepping really small, so let's hope for the best. Let's see, what next? Let's see. I can actually at this point mount this back on here if I want to. I think that's the way to go. I don't think these can still fall off, which means I still have to keep an eye on them. But let's go ahead and put this back on here. Line these up. These I can see, so I'm not too worried about them not being in the right place. Make sure I push it flush against it. And I am going to use this little fork bar to make sure that these are good and tight. That they went square. Go ahead and make sure I retort these as well. Now that everything's on. There we go. Okay. Flip it back over. Start transferring some of the components to it. Let's see. Yeah, see, that's the way I am about the belt as well. I don't like to fool with the belts on the printer. At least with the Ender 5, I don't find myself fooling with the belts a whole lot. They're in those rails, and once you get them kind of tensioned up, all the mounting screws keep everything in place. Let me see, what's next? Turn it over. The bearings drop back in place. These are a little bit looser than I want them to be. But luckily, since the weight is going to be down on these, even if they're loose, it's not a big deal. And then I'm going to need to mount these again. Let's see the best way to do that. These holes have not been screwed in before, so let me take a little bit more. I tried to make them loose enough so that the screws would pop in, but looks like I may not need nuts on these screws anymore because these are tight. It's funny though because I didn't change these screws, so I wonder if I drilled them out the first time. But yeah, these are actually going in tight. I think I can just, at least on this particular build, use the plastic as the nut because these are not having any problems being loose. In fact, I hope I can find this one. And there goes the bearing. So as I was saying, bearings are looser in these. I don't know if that means that I didn't change the bearing profile. That must mean that I've tuned the printer a little bit differently. All right. Some of these streams I've done, I'm like, I really should get me a very small electric screwdriver just to speed up the process. I'm going to try to get this rail mounted back onto the printer, and then we'll call it a day for this stream. Probably a good way to do this. And I'm not going to put nuts back on this one. All four of those screws are tight in the plastic. But I do need a sip of my drink. So let me go grab that real quick. See what's going on. Hey Michael, good to see you. Let's see. It is a big printer with a huge x-axis. The y-axis is pretty long too. we are doing modifications to the Cosplay 600 printer, which is a ball screw based print bed. It is a moving print bed, which I know some people have a problem with. But I wanted to do something different. So, and the ball screw does work. I'm just upgrading. All right, so before I say anything about the football game, wow, that was good. Wrong end of the bag. Before I say anything about the football game, who were you going for, Roger? Obviously. Thing is, I didn't grow up in Europe or in the UK, so I don't know if I have a strong favorite. Is that all of them? Okay. I didn't drop nearly as many as it sounded like. This one is not as tight. Maybe missing another 3. Manchester. Now, why are you a Manchester fan? Did you grow up a Manchester fan? Did you come into the sport later? How did your fandom come? I hear all the stories about how people choose their football teams. How important that whole thing is. It's even more important than like American football teams. That's too short. I hope that print works out for you then, since you weren't paying attention. It probably will. Let's be honest, most PLA, unless it's some sort of specialized PLA, are pretty tolerant. Most of them do not have very specific requirements unless they're special filament for some reason. Okay, so I am using nuts on this side because the plastic is not as tight over here. And these were printed on the same printer. I'm going to have to go check my dimensions because I don't like it when one side does something different than the other side. Need to make sure these M3 holes are the same. This is a lot heavier. I think I mentioned that. Definitely beefs it up. If it's too heavy, we're going to have a whole new problem. Whenever I end up printing something and my dimensions are off, I go into super tweaking mode where I go and do calibration prints and find out if it's off in like the X but the Y's fine, you know. I don't like it. I don't like surprises when it comes to print dimensions. Alright. So this one I couldn't tighten if I wanted to because these tightened into the plastic. Alright, so that one's done. Let's get it mounted up. How do I want to do this? Just grab these lead screws I took off a few minutes ago. I'm going to pull this phone out of the way. And I have to watch how I do this because you have to put on, am I in frame? I'm not really in frame. Ugh. Well, you know what? For what I'm doing, it's going to be better if I move the camera. There we go. Now I'm in frame. So when you're putting on these anti-backlash nuts, which I use mainly to prevent rattling on these lead screws, not as much as the backlash because there's so much weight and whatnot, that I don't usually have to worry about backlash, but you have to tighten them down as you put them in. I'm going to need my paper towel again because these are all greased up already. Where did that bearing go? Alright, there's the bearing. Put that back in here. Again, gravity will hold that in. This one's just looser all over than this one was. And I don't know why. Because they were printed in the same orientation on the same printer with the same settings. In fact, I probably printed one right after the other. Unless I'm not remembering something accurately. But yeah, I like this one better. That one's more what I expected it to be. Okay, so let's do the other one. Here it is. And I need my other lead screw. I'm going to have to degrease my camera when I'm done because of touching it so much with lithium grease all over my hands. That's not going to last. That's what I get for trying to do things on camera. There we go. Going to drop something. Will be sadder than entertaining. The saddest is if I broke the glass on that, but although that is far from the most expensive thing on this printer since I just used a piece of mirror from Lowe's. It's been a good print bed though, it just has to be cleaned. Anytime you use a glass bed, you just have to make sure that I recommend washing it in the kitchen sink with dish detergent. That is not as tight as the other one. There we go. Okay. I'm going to try to get this. These backlash nuts are in here really good right now. Okay. Trying to make sure that these are more or less the same distance because it's going to help when it comes to mounting it. So here we go, we got about a little over 12, so let's make it an even 12. And this one I'm going to make an even 12. Okay, let's go ahead and mount these back up here and here, and those will guide us down. Everybody with me? Let's go back out and see what we're doing. Okay, and there it goes again. I think I'm going to have to figure out how to do that. It's going to be particularly bad if it doesn't actually hold it in with gravity. And I end up having to reprint that right mount anyway. Very possible. Wouldn't be the first time I have to reprint a part just because dimensionally it's not as tight as I wanted it to be. Oop, that's falling faster than this one. Not quite in the... There we go. Gotta get all my parts out of the way. You can't see anything I'm doing, so let me get out of the way. And just these down in here. That's down. That's down. Okay. Let's see. That means I need to tighten. Is this the right one still? I need a different one. Different one. Still having problems with that screwdriver there. So where'd my arch handle one go? One of these where if you see it on the stream, yell it out. There you go. This is the right one. Nope, that's still the small one. That the right one? Yeah, I definitely have too many tips out here. Okay, let me tighten this one down. Okay. Tighten the other one down. When you have a printer already assembled like this, sometimes it's about finding the right angle to be able to get to something that you've already put together 3 or 4 times. Now I'm really curious, once I get these caps back on, if it's going to move smoothly. No, I didn't break the mirror. Okay. If you were asking, no, I did not break a mirror. Nope. Back to these. I have to line up all of the nuts vertically. Otherwise it doesn't go on. I'm gonna end up having to stand up here to do this right. Otherwise I can't see how they're going in. Wow. There we go. Okay. And the other one, try not to kill myself on all the stuff that I have around this room. You didn't know acrobatics would be part of this stream. But you're getting the acrobatics too. Almost. There we go. I have to line up that rail. And we're back in business. There we go. Wrong way. I'm going to be end up pulling this out. All right. So that's it. Top isn't really like on. I'm going to do a couple of tightening here just to make sure it doesn't go anywhere. And then the last thing I'm going to do is we're going to give you a little bit of linear motion here and actually see if the Z-axis can lift up this massive X-axis now. I've added quite a bit of weight to it, and I'm really curious to see if I've done any damage. Let's see. All right, let's find out. I'm not going to, let's just turn it on. All right. It should let me go up without homing it. Let's find out. Okay, I'm a little nervous because I don't want to, but I do have a reset button right here at my thumb. So let's find out what it does. Look at there. It actually moves really well. It has no problem at all lifting that axis. So you're absolutely right. It's still missing weight. Now we have weight, right? Let's see. Let's find out. Can it still lift it? Huh? It can go down. It can go up. So. Da-da-da. How much could it hold? So those are two mostly full boxes of screws. Can it go down? So it can go down. And it can go up. So these right now are running 2208 drivers with standard size NEMA 17s. And they have absolutely no problems lifting all of that weight. So, yes. I'm really happy about that. I was concerned that I may have overdone the amount of weight on there, but clearly there's actually quite a bit of torque in that, which actually comes down to the whole idea behind using the ball screw for your moving bed. Screws have a lot of torque. Now they need a motor that can turn them fast enough, but they have a lot of accuracy and a lot of torque, especially the ball screws. So that was the whole idea, and the lead screws are showing it really good. So I think I am about done for today. It's a little after 5, but I started a little late, and I have gone through one beer. So thank you all for joining me. There is a chance, it's not set in stone, and I'm not going to advertise it at this point, but there's a chance I may do another live stream tomorrow. It will either be in the morning Eastern Standard Time or about the same time I started today. So that's the plan. I got pretty far today. That's not bad. As I found out, I need to order some more M3 screws. I'm going to get those ordered. If I work tomorrow, I'm going to get the new X carriage mounted. What else can I do? Oh, and tonight what I can do, go ahead and get this figured out so this NEMA 23 can work. Yeah. And then maybe if I get a chance to stream even for a short time tomorrow, maybe I can do a print. That would be really nice, and it'd be a good payoff for you guys. So thanks everyone for joining me. Again, you have the link to my Patreon if any of you want to think about contributing there. That is going to be just the community of people that want to contribute to the channel. It's also going to be the #1 way to commission me for work, because if you're a paying Patreon, then you get first say in what I work on, and you will get first access to the files that I work on. Take a look at the rewards there if you haven't. What else? I guess that's it. I am available on all social media platforms, usually Kersey Fabs, just to keep it short, because some of the platforms have shorter tags. One more thing. So if you're not following me on Facebook, Kersey Fabrications on Facebook, I can probably give you a link to that page as well. No, it's Kersey Fabs on Facebook as well. All right. Let me give you a link to that. And the reason I want to mention this is because I have a post up there right now. Big Tree Tech, who is the same maker that I showed you earlier in the video of this 32-bit board, they are coming out with a $10 32-bit board. Obviously not a Duet, not the feature spec of a Duet, but it's got almost everything a low-end or an inexpensive 3D printer will need. And the only thing it's missing is basically a hotbed MOSFET, which you can add if you need it. But the reason I bring it up is I have a post, which I actually still can't for the life of me figure out how to directly link to. There's a post on my Facebook feed where if I get 50 likes on that post, they'll send me one for free. I know it's a $10 board. This isn't a big deal. This is actually more for fun than for the $10 board. But if I get 50 likes on that post, they'll send me one. So go check out my Facebook page if you have one. Join me there. I've actually got a pretty good community on Facebook as well. So again, thanks everybody for joining me here on Kersey Fabrications, and I hope to see you tomorrow if I get to do this again. So keep an eye out, and if you do follow me on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, you will see an announcement there if I'm going to go live. So thanks again, and I'm looking for how I'm going to close this stream. There we go. Thanks everybody. Have a good Saturday.